what's up, guys? It's Honey German, and welcome to Meet the CEO. Today, we are sitting down with a very special guest, and I have tons of questions for him. Can you please introduce yourself?
So I'm Jacob Easley II, Dean for the Graduate School of Education at Touro College.
Graduate. You know what this means, right?
You tell me.
You're dealing with people that really, really, really love education.
Well, there are people who want to improve their lives and improve their professional standing and their ability to impact schools and youth and children, and in terms of our students.
Now, how crucial and important is a graduate degree in 2020?
So I believe it is now the norm. And it also increases one's economic earning over a lifetime, and you're more likely to be employed with the master's degree. But in the state of New York, it's required for continuous professional standing within the profession.
Now, tell me a little bit about Touro Graduate School, the students, the campuses, the online program. Just school me. Like, if I've never heard of Touro, what do I need to know?
Okay, so this is a good question. People ask me all the time, Touro. Touro College is part of Touro College and University System. In New York, we refer to ourselves as we are Touro College. We are the largest private nonprofit institution under the Jewish auspices in higher education in the United States, serving about 19,000 plus students across the globe with campuses in Berlin, Nevada, California, Israel, and of course here in New York. And Touro Graduate School of Education, we're the largest graduate school in the graduate division, serving about 2,400 students on about a 3-year average. And we offer 10 plus programs across the spectrum of education for teacher education, leadership, school counseling, etc. And we're very proud of currently a new program, which is Jewish childhood education and special education. It is the only program in the nation that leads to dual certification. This is only Jewish education, teacher education program, leading to dual certification in both general education and special education within at a state level.
Simultaneously
Upon graduation.
That is amazing. I really love that. Now, talk to me a little bit more about the programs. Like, who would come to Touro to further their education? Like, in which occupation would someone be working right now that you would be like, okay, you are the perfect candidate. We have the perfect program to bring your career to the next level?
So absolutely. I mean, this is someone who, of course, already has an undergraduate degree.
Mm-hmm.
This is really someone who, hopefully, in my mind, who has already worked with youth and children, but really is committed to having a positive impact in the lives of youth and children and in schools and the communities that the schools serve. So if you're a leadership role, that's broader spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in school counseling, and if you're a teacher, of course, what happens in the classroom matters. So you have to be well suited for working in a dynamic environment that is continually changing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you work with children before, you know that no 2 days are the same. And in some cases, every minute or every few seconds can be a different environment, even within the same classroom. So our population, which I think is markedly or punctuated in a way that's a bit different from other programs, is we work closely with school districts, and many of our candidates, as we call them, are paraprofessionals. So these are individuals who already have a degree, undergraduate, but are not at that time licensed teachers, but are pursuing efforts to advance their professional standing, to advance the reach that they can have within their schools.
Now, when it comes to like getting my master's, going on, getting a PhD, sometimes people see it as like an unattainable goal. It's like, especially in inner cities, we're sometimes grateful to get an associate's, to get a bachelor's. How easy is it? Like, how attainable is it for us to say, I got my master's, I graduated? Like, is there a lot of roadblocks, or is it something that we're kind of like overthinking?
So I would say nothing worthwhile is easy.
Okay.
Know this. So what I would tell anybody is, and you and I were talking earlier.
Yeah.
So the question I always ask is, what problems do you want to solve? And that's different from what do you want to do? And so if you realize that you have problems that you really want to solve related to the field of education, then education is probably the area that you should think about. So at Touro, we pride ourselves on the principles of equity and access. It falls in line with our mission and the Jewish ideals of social justice. So with that, we have created means that allow individuals who probably would not have access to a program at other institutions to come to Touro. But we do so under the guise and the direction of all of the state regulations for admission. So we're very proud of that. And then we make sure that once you're admitted, that we support you at high levels. So it's interesting because we've been looking at levels of support. This is my second year at Touro as dean. And
where did you come from?
I was previously in Connecticut, and prior to that I was in Pennsylvania, but I was in New York prior to those two appointments.
Okay, so you've been kind of like in the area the whole entire time.
I stayed in the area.
Got it.
So, but we recently we regularly poll our students and our graduates, and we just recently polled those who were graduating last semester, fall 2019, and satisfaction rate around advisement was at a 92% high.
That's important.
So we realize that we've made strides in terms of what type of supports that we provide to those who choose to study with us, and we're honored that anyone would want to come and work with us. So we look at it as a badge of respect, and we try to treat everyone with dignity.
Now, if I go to your website right now, how easy would it be for me to navigate, for me to get to know the core values of Touro College? Would I be able to see, what the programs are? Would I be able to apply online? Talk to me a little bit more about the digital and online space, because that's where we live right now.
So online is, I would say in some ways, is a one-stop shop. Well, that's an interesting question because many of our candidates are older in age, so they're less likely to engage online. They prefer the personal touch.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Oh, they really do. But you may definitely start an application online. You may find out more information online. I also say you should follow us on social media if you're on social media, because that will give you access to programmings. For example, I believe it's this week, we have a program that is on how to fund your graduate studies. So
send me the link, please.
We definitely will. So we make sure that we try to connect with the community in multiple ways. We also have faculty who are in schools regularly, providing workshops to teachers and other educators, and we often at that point also address questions about access to the program. So yes, you can definitely go to the website, about us, academics. Those are some of the links. And so if you follow policies, procedures, admissions, and financial aid, for example. So those are a few that come to mind. But we also have profiles of alumni, profiles of current students on the website as well. So if you want to hear the perspective of someone who is living the experience or who has lived the experience and been successful, you should also begin with the website as well.
Now, what's the website?
gsc.touro.edu.
Okay, perfect. Anyone who's watching, they want to go right to the website.
That was a good question.
You could go ahead and do that. Now, let me talk to you a little bit more about education.
Yes.
What are some of the big misconceptions that people have about pursuing a career in education? Or maybe sometimes people might be like, I don't want to be a teacher because of this, or I don't want to get into education because of that. What is one of the biggest misconceptions that you think maybe the youth or younger people have about teaching and about a career in teaching?
Well, that's sort of the negative side. I think every profession has its detractors. So we do have the belief that there's a lot of bureaucracy in schools. I hated to say it, but some people believe that some of the students are bad. But the reality is all students deserve and need to be in environments with fully formed and well-adjusted and healthy adults. If you want youth and children to learn to grow up to be healthy adults in society, they need to have role models.
And that's what you're building here
absolutely.
at Touro College.
So, and now I will say in terms of pursuing a graduate degree, if you've been out of school for a while, that is an adjustment.
It is?
It is an
Don't
adjustment.
tell me that.
You know, if you're not one who's voracious and you read books a lot,
Yeah.
and so you've just gotten caught up into the daily grind of day to day.
Just going to work, going home.
It is an adjustment, but it's not insurmountable. We do have a wraparound resources. For example, we have a writing center. So there are individuals who haven't written in a while. And I tell you from firsthand, I'm published. But in administration, I realized as of recent, most of what I write are memos and emails. And so I was stepping back into writing a piece for publication. And it took me a minute.
To put it together?
Yes. I mean, so it's always creating a challenge for yourself. And I see that if you decide to pursue education, you're creating a challenge. And the fun part is how do you work through that challenge to see yourself come out victorious on the other side. So, but we do have wraparound resources. The faculty are amazing. So you will have faculty. It's not uncommon to find faculty who will provide one-on-one support.
Yeah, that's needed.
Candidates as well.
Now, you mentioned that your candidates are older. Now, we have jobs, we work, we have families, we're out here. How accommodating is the program for someone who, let's say, might not be your typical student that just lives at home with mom and dad and just goes to class and then goes home and, just lays out? Like, how accommodating are the classes, the schedules, online courses? How does that come into play?
So we do pride ourselves in flexibility in terms of course offering. So many of our courses are offered in the evening, particularly to meet the needs of working adults. As I mentioned earlier, we have individuals who are, for example, paraprofessionals, but some individuals are already certified as well and are extending their knowledge base by pursuing an additional certification in a different area, which you can also do at Touro. So classes are offered in the evening, and also on the weekends, and we also have online courses as well. So if you're interested in the metropolitan area, of course we have face-to-face or on-site classes in Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bayshore, out in Long Island, and then of course we have online. So you may I won't say perceive of it, but you may design your program where you're taking courses online as well as face-to-face. So it really is designed to help you adjust to whatever schedule you might have.
Yeah, that's always important because it's like that's one of the detractors, and for people when they become adults, like, when am I going to do it? When am I going to have time? Like, I get out of work, I got to go take care of my family. So just knowing the flexibility with the evenings, with the weekends, and even online is super important.
So I would like to think about it this way: if you have the commitment, we're gonna remove all the barriers of excuses.
Good, we need that.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of excuses. I need a lot of barriers
You
removed.
come in for a consultation and I can talk you through those excuses.
I loved education, and you know what's crazy? It's like I went into a program that the city of New York had where they were looking for like professionals that wanted to go into the educational field. So you didn't need to be a teacher. I don't know if you remember when this happened. It was probably like 10 years ago. You didn't need to be a teacher, but you can try, and they would like train you and you would become a teacher. Obviously, I didn't do it, but education was one of my first loves. Like, I wanted to be a bilingual teacher. I wanted to help all these ESL students. So I really was excited when you were coming in, because I was just like, it's so crazy. That was like one of my first career goals was to be a teacher.
It's never too late.
But you know what? I have 4 interns every semester, and I still get my fix of teaching through them. So I pretty much just teach them everything I know here, and I'm kind of like, an unofficial teacher of sorts,
But what I've learned, though, if you've become a master teacher, the skills it's akin to being a parent in some ways.
Yes, it is.
A mentor. The skills are transferable. So even if you had completed that degree in bilingual education, you can apply the skills of how do individuals learn, and how do I craft for example, your work that you do every day. How do I craft my work in a way to teach someone else how to be as good, but hopefully to excel beyond my level
as they
proficiency
should,
as a mentor. So the skills are quite transferable.
That's good. Now let's talk a little bit about you.
Oh yeah.
Now, who were your people that you looked up to when you crafted your career? You said you're from the Bronx.
Oh no, I live in the Bronx.
Oh, you live in the Bronx. Yes. Okay, where are you originally from?
I was born in Jersey, but I grew up down south.
Where down south?
In Alabama.
Alabama.
I did.
Okay. I don't
That's
hear.
a whole nother story.
But you still sound like a New Yorker as we're talking now.
It depends on who I'm with.
There you go. You're not letting loose with me.
But
That's the problem.
we have something in Kindred. I also speak Spanish, so
Oh, you do?
yes, I do. So I learned it's important that to fit in, you often will
Have to
adjust the way you speak. It helps in many ways. I mean, it helps people to feel comfortable as well.
Oh no, it definitely does. That who were your people? Who did you look up to? Who were you like? Okay, this is a career path I'm gonna take, and it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It doesn't have to be anybody that we would all know. Who helped mold the man that you are today?
This is an interesting question because I knew at some point I thought when I was much younger that I would want to teach at some point, but for me it was really to give back. I did not
To our
see it-
communities or to the kids?
to communities in general.
Okay.
I didn't see it as a career goal initially. I wanted to go into international communications, but I didn't really know what it was. So
You just like the title?
I had no idea. I mean, I studied foreign languages. I like people. I like problem solving. I like different cultures.
You sound like me.
But I had no idea what that was. But interesting enough, my mother said you should be a teacher.
Of course, who knows you better than your mother? She's probably like, okay, you should be a teacher.
And so, in some ways, I fell into it. So, we have alternate route programs. I was sort of the poster child for an alternate route teacher, in the sense that I graduated from undergrad, and I had planned on going to grad school. But then I'm not sure if I was smart, but I realized I didn't want any more debt.
Facts.
So I decided to work for a while, and a friend of mine. So it's interesting how people can see something in you. I had a friend who was a principal, and he says you should be a teacher, and there's a job opening, and it was about an hour and a half away outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta then, and he says you can borrow my car. I'm like, wait, I can borrow your car? He says, yeah.
Okay.
He had a Mercedes. And I'm thinking, here I'm this young
Sweet.
20-something-year-old, and you just give me the keys of your Mercedes. So I borrowed the keys, took the keys, borrowed the car, drove to the interview, and did well. So I was hired. But I had not gone through any professional training. So inspiration in terms of professionally began with those teachers who were the most amazing teachers I ever had.
It's so crazy that you keep mentioning people seeing your potential, your teachers, your mom, the principal that suggested the job. And I feel like that's such an important role of educators, of teachers, and just adults in general, is to see like the potential in children and encourage them, because it's like as a kid you don't know. It's like you're smart, you talk a lot, you're funny, but you're not even realizing like, okay, this is what this kid should be pursuing. So luckily you got that guidance, and it probably super instilled in you, and that's the way you operate,
Well, I mean, I was instilled the virtues of, well, of course, as you know, I told you, I really enjoy people. So we will learn at home respect for others. So we don't, in my family, it's hard to find or meet a stranger. That's just how it operates in my family. So you never know who's at the dinner table. It could be, and someone else's, a cousin's or a brother's friend or a friend of a friend, then become an extended part of the family.
And that's amazing.
That's sort of how we operate. But I think first and foremost, we were always taught to do the best that you are able to do at whatever task you're given.
And with whatever tools you have.
And whatever tools you have. So you may have to find out how to do that in your own unique way, but you need to do it to the best of your ability.
Now, let's go back to Touro College.
Yes.
If you were right now talking to one of our listeners, how would you put it into words so that they know that this is like the graduate school for them if they want to pursue, their education when it comes to furthering their degree?
So if you're looking for a place that will set you apart, yes, we are large, but you will not be considered a number. So you will be an individual working collaboratively with your peers and your classmates and the faculty and staff to ensure that you meet the learning outcomes that we have. You have to be committed to serving the neediest of communities, first and foremost. So if that's not your passion, then we probably would not be the right organization for you. And you have to be committed to, again, those virtues of equity and access, high quality education for all youth and children. But we're there to help guide you and support you in very unique ways. Sometimes we don't often know because we find ourselves being very nimble. We caucus a lot. My staff would tell you we meet a lot.
You meet a lot, yeah.
We meet a lot. So
You need that.
it depends on who you are. You may be in 2 or 3 meetings a week, but it's always around how can we improve as an institution. What are the challenges that our candidates are facing? What are the unmet needs within the schools and communities? Just this week, I think I had a meeting with District 75 Superintendent here in New York City Department of Education. Also met with our site director in Long Island, discussing ways that we can be of better service to our constituents in Bayshore and beyond. And today is, what is today? Wednesday. So we've had those 2 meetings already, and we've already had a collaboration with a network of schools that we're part of with U.S. Prep around transforming educator preparation through clinical practice. So these are the type of meetings that happen on a regular basis, aside from what I call my extended staff meeting, where we all get together internally. How are things going? So for example, honey, how's your work going? What else do you need? How can someone else on the team help you? So that's pretty much how we operate.
Now,
and so that leads us to how we perceive how we should support our candidates.
No, that's good. You know, you got to hear what is on people's mind. What are the issues? What needs fixing? Now, you said you've only been in your position for 2 years, so you're still young in your position. What is a major goal that you have for Touro College Graduate School of Education that you are currently working on? Like, what is something that you're like, I want to make this bigger, better than ever?
That's a good question. So, I mean, we have an immediate goal. We're about to undergo national accreditation, reaccreditation. We're currently accredited. And some people don't find that to be appealing or, dare I say, sexy. I do, because it really is a means of how do we tell our story to the professional community, aside from how do we tell our story to our local constituents and to schools and communities. And really it's about the notion of continuous improvement and quality assurance. But in addition to that, we are, as I alluded to earlier, refashioning our work to focus primarily at that the center is the clinical experience. So that's what happens in schools with youth and children. So ensuring that all of our candidates have those rich experiences in schools before they graduate. Even if you are an experienced teacher, when you come to us, we're going to push you to think about teaching and learning beyond what you already know. So that's something that we're definitely working on. And of course, we're blessed. I had to say that because even though nationally teacher education enrollment has been on the decline, for the last 3 years, we have been on the steady incline or increase. So last year we were 102% over target.
Nice.
102% at target, just slightly over. And this fall, 105%. But that really speaks to the fact that I believe what we're doing is resonating well with individuals.
No, it has to be.
We want to make sure that we maintain that. So having us here today is something that we're pleased and we feel honored to be able to tell the story of Touro Graduate School of Education so that others will know of the great work that we're doing.
No, it's 100% because one thing is going to a website, another thing is actually hearing people talk about it and someone ask the questions that they want answers to. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm 100% sold. I wish I was still on the path to becoming a teacher so I could be like, okay, I'm keeping this card and I'm emailing you today.
Never too late.
I know.
Just get started.
I know. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.